would you agree that there is an incredible shortage of strong leaders in this world, in particular in the United States? When you think about everyone from folks in high-level political positions, legislators, folks that are in municipal positions such as mayors, city council persons, and the list goes on and on. Senators, you name it, state reps, and then when you get into the business community, presidents, CEOs, chairmen, COOs, vice presidents, directors, district directors, department supervisors, frontline supervisors, area supervisors, you name it. Although there are many, many men and women serving in these positions, the fact of the matter is that there's a huge shortage of really good leaders. And I don't know how many people watching this video could object to that. So if there were 100 people looking at this video right now, I'm guessing, 90 out of the 100 that are watching would agree that we have a real leadership challenge in our country, on our jobs, wherever we may work, even in some of our churches. We're leadership challenged. Now, although we have many people in leadership positions with leadership titles, are they really leaders? You and I, we may be in leadership positions ourselves. Are we truly leaders, or do we just have a leadership title? And what I wanted to sort of share with everyone with this particular video is the difference and some of the differences between managers and leaders. Now, oftentimes, if a person is in any kind of management position where they're required to provide any level of leadership, so it could be lower levels of leadership, sort of entry level, mid level, senior level, and so on and so forth. It could be a volunteerism situation. Maybe there are folks that serve on volunteer boards, committees, but folks are expected, or the assumption is, if you're in any kind of legitimate position where there is a title, a leadership title, the implication is that you're a leader. Well, I'm here to tell you that nothing can be further from the truth. A title does not make a person a leader. Okay? Now, and I'll explain. So with managers, it kind of works like this. You get a directive from your manager. Your manager says, okay, well, what we need to do, we have to, have these reports done, or this project completed, by Friday, so it's Monday. So you get the directive, the manager puts out all the instructions, and then the manager delegates, who's supposed to do what. So, employee A, you do this, employee B, you do that, employee C, you do this and that, whatever the case may be. And then if you have any questions between now and Friday, let me know, and I'm here to help you. But what we're going to do is we're going to work on these tasks. Everyone's going to go back to their cubicles, to their office, or their areas of work, and they're going to finish these projects and these tasks. And then we're going to meet on Friday, regroup, and then we're going to look at what the results were and how successful we were at completing that. And if you don't complete it, then you'll be held accountable, maybe written up. Who knows? But that's kind of how it works with management. You get a set of directives from your manager. Your manager delegates who's responsible for what. And then, there's usually deadlines as to when this work or these projects need to be completed. And then that's management. And that's very task-driven, and it's appropriate. But when you start talking about leaders are more driven by relationships. What they want to know is who am I leading? I'm more interested, first and foremost, in the person before the professional. So who are you? What are your tendencies? What are your weaknesses? What are your shortcomings? Where can I be of greater support to you? This is leadership. Now, it takes a little more time. It requires a little more energy of us, those of us that are in leadership positions. However, the result is always better, because it's been my understanding over the years. I was in the military for many years, several years. Worked in corrections. Worked for the government for several years. Spent 20 years as a nonprofit executive. I've been involved in Christian ministry for 25 plus years, and and it's been true over and over again in all of those, in each of those environments. You know, that although there were folks in leadership positions and they were managers, they really were not truly leaders, because many of those folks, and it's been my experience, had no interest in me or the other staff as individuals, as human beings. They just wanted workers. And so worker bees. And so what I've learned in the very few leaders that I've had the privilege of working with and working for, I learned that, you know, it's important that people feel as if they matter, and that individuals need to know that they're important. And one of the best ways to make sure people understand that they're important is that try to understand them as people first and professionals second. And it's been my experience that when you lead people that way, when people feel valuable, when they feel important, you get a lot more out of them. And I know what I'm saying sounds simplistic, it sounds basic, but it's much easier said than done. People say they want to be good leaders, but do you really? Because true leaders will never throw you under the bus. True leaders will never set you up for failure. True leaders will never misguide you. And also, the best leaders, they know how to admit when they make a mistake. And some of the greatest leaders I've ever been around were not know-it-alls. They had no interest in knowing everything and having every answer. They were inclusive leaders. And see, this is a real shortage at every level. And what happens often, and I'm sure many of you have been a part of this, maybe you witness this, maybe this happened to you yourself, but you have someone that works really hard, that does a good job. You know, they're busy, they're making things happen, and then what happens is they get promoted to supervisory roles, but they really can't lead people. They're just good workers, and then when they become good workers, they end up failing at being supervisors because they really didn't know how to lead, they just knew how to work hard. And so a good worker doesn't always mean a good manager or a good leader. And lastly, while managers are important, and again, management is task-driven, and it's really about the objective and achieving the goals. And believe me, you have to achieve those goals, hit those marks. You know, if you don't achieve those goals, you won't be your business or your company won't be around very long. But leaders are very relationship-driven, and leaders are usually very good managers, because if you lead people and you're relationship-driven, you're going to have an easier time getting them to perform those tasks. Whereas with managers, they have a difficult time getting people to follow them because they're so task-driven. It's so black and white. So I would say, as you look at this video, I would challenge you. Are you more of a manager than a leader? Do you aspire to be a successful leader and do well? Then take step back a little bit and say, well, how much do I really care about those that I'm leading, or those that I expect to lead down the road? And it's true, if you care about people first, then there's no limits as to what those people will do for you and with you, because something beautiful happens in that process. While the individuals are committed to getting the work done and getting the work done properly, oftentimes they're more concerned about letting you down. And when you have people following you that way, who are committed to you and don't want to let you down and want to be successful and work alongside you, the sky is truly the limit. Whether you're leading one person or 100, doesn't matter. And these are the kind of leaders that we need in this country. We need them in our organizations, our departments, our institutions, our political offices. I mean, we need leaders to be managers. Let's give up on the idea of trying to make managers leaders, because usually that doesn't happen.